Hello, beautiful people. Hello, welcome to another episode of Read With Me. I'm yours truly, Isabel Bedell. I'm here to read with you. If you have not caught up to this amazing book that we're reading, we're already in chapter 8, almost done with this book. We're halfway there. This book has been amazing. Honestly, I really love how it's done. I really love the vividness in the editing. I love the way that it's being shared with everyone. So great job, Ryan. Great job, the editor. Great job to, everyone that was part of the creation of this book. And the stories inside this book will make you laugh. I'm all about creating laughter. I'm all about making a situation lighter with laughter. And I do believe that if you're laughing, you're learning. If you're learning, you're growing. So why not laugh some more, right? So without further ado, I want to get into chapter 8. It is titled What to Risk. Now, chapter 8 is going to be really cool. We're going to split it up into 2 sections. It's a pretty juicy one, and we're going to split it up into 2. So this is chapter 8, part 1 of this amazing book, Big Money Energy by Ryan Serhant. All right, let's get into it. Robert's penthouse was amazing. It was beautifully renovated and the views of Manhattan and Central Park were incredible. I'd seen hundreds of homes in New York City, but there was something a little bit different about this one. I wanted to touch everything in the apartment. The crazy long kitchen counter was so smooth and so shiny. I wanted to hop on top of it to see if I could slide across it. The walls were covered in suede, and I wanted to pet them. The open shelving held beautiful, colorful, and super shiny objects that just screamed, "Pick me up. I know you want to." When I dared to reach out a single finger to feel the most elegant looking bowl that made the lemons it was holding look like work of art, Robert said, "Yeah, we're not going to do that." "Oh, sorry." Like I was a 4-year-old. Robert gestured for me to sit down in on his tasteful and expensive looking modern sectional. "Oh, I can actually sit down. It's okay." He nodded, and I sat down carefully, like the sofa was made out of glass and I could shatter if I put all my weight on it. I looked around the room and noticed that every object in it, the artwork, vases, the books, the furniture, it was all arranged with precision. This guy was kind of intense. I wondered if Robert was in the military. Oh my God, maybe he's an assassin. "Ryan, I called you because I know you got a great deal on Penthouse A. I recently sold the penthouse across the hall for 7.7 million. I want you to get me 8 million." Before I could explain that while Robert's apartment was spectacular and the penthouse A had 7 windows with direct views of Central Park, that's where the money is. And he only had 1 window with the park view. He launched into a monologue about the renovations he'd done, all of the amenities and improvements he'd added, like a backlit wet bar and a high-end kitchen with ostrich hair, door pulls. I listened intently. This was all good information, but when you want to sell an apartment on Central Park, only one thing matters when it comes to the price. How much frontage to the park do you actually have? He wouldn't be able to sell for more than the last sale I did that had more windows on the park, no matter how expensive his dandelion chandelier was. And oh my God, it was expensive. Do you have any idea what it takes to get tiny little light bulbs inside real dandelions without the flower actually blowing away? And then wrapping it all in a gold metal casing, and then shipping it. Yeah, that's expensive. So we were headed towards the usual battle about asking price. Here's where you don't mirror your client's emotions. This is where you literally don't mirror your client's emotion. This is really, really important right here. The alarm bells were already ringing in my head while Robert was going on at length about the artistry, about his bathroom tile that had been created from pulverized volcanic rock popular with migrating miniature penguins. I knew that as soon as he stopped talking, he was expecting me to mirror his passion about the apartment, and it was awesome, and also his certainty that it could demand such a high price. It couldn't, even if the walls were diamond crusted. I learned the hard way early in my career that agreeing with a client in order to get the job can easily backfire, and it's the quickest way to getting fired. Guess what happens if you don't get what they decided they deserve? It's all your fault. And why didn't you just tell them they were asking too much? Isn't that your job? If you knew it would only sell for 2.6 million and not 3.2 million, why didn't you just say something? Sometimes in sales, I feel like a doctor who is being blamed for telling his client he has lung cancer. You should have told me sooner. I'm suing you. Well, I just met you. You also shouldn't have smoked for 50 years, just saying. You can't mirror what a client wants back to him. That often leads to a deal exploding and your money being burned up along with it. So when a client looks at you, they shouldn't see your face agreeing with every single emotion that they're feeling if you know they're wrong. So think about it. If you're sitting on the chair explaining to your stylist that you want a Justin Bieber meets Bob Marley haircut, do you want her to stand in front of the mirror with a plastic smile on her face and start chopping off your hair if she knows, thanks to her years of experience, that you're going to end up looking like a troll? Or do you want her to give her a dose of reality? I agree. It would be great to make fun change to your style, but I'd love to talk about some other cuts that I know will flatter your face beautifully. Trust me. You'll thank me later. If you want to be successful, you need to confidently guide clients to reality, and that's not always easy. When I need to convince people to see my point of view, I use the following tactics. This is so good. I love that. 1, be a team player. When you want to get a client away from a bad decision, whether it's overpricing an apartment, moving forward with a disastrous haircut, or buying a pet snake for their newborn niece, they need to see that you're on their side. Announcing, "What is wrong with you? Only a moron would buy a snake for a baby," puts you and them on opposite sides. Instead, you should say, "Never thought about giving a snake to a baby. Could be fun, but you know what? Let's think about it. What kind of snake is it? Do you have a tank for it?" So little Aphrodite can watch slithering Sam grow. That's so funny. What kind of snake is it? Do you have a tank for it too? So little Aphrodite can watch slithering Sam grow up safely. Keep your gut reactions on the inside until you've done the math. Your opinion versus their opinion equals disaster, but your opinion plus their opinion equals winning. It's not a battle, it's a collaboration, a conversation. No matter how much you disagree with someone, if you want something they have, always show you're on their side to start. It's the only way you'll get them to trust you and listen to you enough so that you can actually guide them to a choice that results in the most positive outcome for them, but most importantly, you. Also, Number 2 is be patient but persistent. No one ever wants to hear that the course of action they want to take isn't in their best interest. Ask my team member Yolanda, Jen, or Natalie, my 3 right hands. They'll tell you that when I have my mind set on something, if they just shoot it down right away, it just makes my idea sound even better to me. So they've learned to be patient but persistent with educating me on how my idea to fly a blimp over New York City to sell one of my buildings isn't the most practical, although it would be effing amazing. Don't expect that your client will immediately abandon the idea of the haircut she's convinced will make her look like a Kardashian. It's your job to convey that what they want isn't best for them by first listening to their concerns and then by showing empathy. Understand what they're saying, but persist in showing them the right path and provide an example of what could happen in their course of action is taken. Listen, I could sell you this large snake for your new niece, but if one were to present an infant to a boa constrictor, I'd have to send my invoice to the jail you'd be housed at. Number 3, focus on the win. If you want a client or employer to follow your advice, create a positive picture of the end result. This haircut will show off your beautiful eyes, and your eyes are killer. This is a teddy bear. It will not eat a baby. Buy this instead. She'll love it and you. If the goal is to sell, then your win is to collect a commission. Everything in the middle is just noise. And like the professional adult that you are, you don't yell back at loud noise. You don't put your hands over your ears and yell, yada, 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 I can't hear you. And you don't put on noise canceling headphones either to block it all out. You listen to the noise, you absorb the best, and leave the rest. I love that. I calmly explained to Robert, after listening to him for 45 minutes, that his finishes were gorgeous. I honestly loved them and had never seen such detail in screws. But based on the comparable sales I had, $7 million was the right asking price for his given upgrades. If he hadn't done such an amazing renovation, we would be talking about a price closer to $6 million. At $7 million, I believe the apartment would sell quickly, taking up less of Robert's time. And the return on his initial investment would still be massive. We would get to his end result. So here's code number 12. Always focus on a client's goal to get your win. I agree with that 100%. Always focus on a client's goal to get your win. Trying isn't good enough. Here's another one. To Robert's credit, he heard me out and agreed on my valuation. He was keen to make a return on his investment quickly, and apparently without humans messing up his perfect apartment. He wanted to leave room for negotiation, though. So we settled on a listing price of $7.895 million. But Ryan, there's one thing. My smile started to fade. Ryan, I don't want people coming in here and touching my stuff. Wow. Could he tell just by looking at me that I wanted to take a nap on his pillow walls? They looked so plush. So there'll be no parties, no open houses, no physical showings without first making an offer. Wait, no open houses and no showings? Whoa. While many clients are understandably worried about having people in their homes, this was next level. I have shown thousands of apartments and never once have I taking someone through the kitchen only to have them peek into the fridge and say, okay, great, there's lasagna. I'm just going to heat up a plate of this real quick. You want some? What was his real concern? And how was I going to sell this penthouse if I couldn't actually, show it? Robert went on with his lecture like I was a kid about to be left home for the first time. Seriously, no one, not a single person comes in here unless they are very well vetted and have made an offer. Well, I understood his concerns. This was his home, not mine, after all, and I wondered exactly how I'd get people interested enough to make an offer if they were not actually allowed to set foot inside the apartment. People don't generally drop 7 million on a property that they aren't allowed to enter. And we weren't exactly experiencing the joy that is a seller's market. Well, normally I have a photographer come in and take pictures so that I can get people interested. Then I host a broker's open house with to the top agents in New York to build up excitement. And then Robert looked up at me and I had three heads. No, 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 no. No open houses. No open houses. But if you want to come in and take a few pictures with your little camera, I guess that's okay. My heart was sinking again. I had just secured this great penthouse listing, but had no way to show it to anyone. The end result was drifting away from us fast. How about a video? Look at these views. People need to be able to see how great this place is. Robert sat back in his perfectly designed chair made of sharp right angles. Okay, sure, a quick video. Make sure you get the view. We shook hands and I left the apartment feeling an equal mix of excitement and frustration. This was a huge listing, but how could I get the word out about this great property if humans weren't allowed on the premises? I wanted to sell it. I wanted to earn the commission, but this was a challenge I had never faced before. I had made tough sales, wonky layouts, complete lack of light, no view. But in these cases, I worked hard to find a positive. Who needs a view if you work late at night, right? Weird layout? No, it's an interesting layout. But I was allowed to bring clients into the apartment. I was going to have to dig deep on it, get really creative if I wanted to see a commission check on this one. Later that night, I met my friend Nick at a bar in the East Village. He was friends with the lead singer in the band that was performing. I stood in the crowd with my drink, feeling conspicuous. I was the only guy there in a suit, and my good shoes were sticking to the beer that was spilled all over the floor. Was I the only person left in New York City who didn't have a full sleeve tattoo? The band was great and everyone was having fun dancing. After the set, Nick dragged me through the dingy hallway that smelled like pee. Shortly after getting my head stuck in a cobweb, we reached the door at the end of the hall where the band was hanging out in a tiny room before going back on stage. Nick introduced me to Mary and the other members of her group. When Nick asked, "So, did you guys ever find a cool space to shoot your music video?" The wheels in my brain started spinning. The lead singer shook her head no. "Wait a minute," Robert said. "I could make a video. What if instead of a quiet, boring little listing video like other brokers make, I make a music video in the apartment?" My mouth was faster than my brain. "I have the perfect place for you. It's a super cool apartment, a penthouse overlooking Central Park." Everyone's eyes lit up. A penthouse? They needed a free, great space. I needed a great listing video, but it would all have to be done on the sly. Because I was pretty sure that if Robert found out about it, he would murder me in my sleep. This would either go down as one of the worst or best ideas of my life. I started making plans for the video like I was planning a jewel heist. This was a luxury residential skyscraper just off Central Park. You basically can't bring a pencil into a building like this because insurance and permissions and sign-offs from like nine people. So I obviously couldn't drag an entire band through the lobby of this fancy doorman building and up the elevator to the apartment with no question asked. Surely Robert had spies planted throughout the building who would rat me out, even if I had already given me permission to enter the apartment. I could just imagine the kind of chat that could have happened in the elevator. Oh, hi, Robert. I meant to tell you the other day I saw your broker, the really tall gray haired guy, and about 15 suspicious characters. They looked like musicians, bringing such a huge drum set, a bunch of camera equipment, a few guitars, a saxophone, and a tambourine into your apartment. Okay, have a great day. And then my life would be over. I needed to get someone on our side, someone who could aid the mission. Late one night, I headed uptown to Robert's building. I introduced myself to the late night doorman. I explained that I needed to make a listing video so I could sell the penthouse B, but I needed to do it 1, in the middle of the night, and 2, without getting caught. So I need 3, access to the service elevator without the owner knowing. I made sure to add that the video was a surprise for Robert and that everyone would be lip singing and pretending to play their instruments. No sleep would be harmed during the making of this music video. The doorman agreed to let us in the following night. Well, morning. We would start shooting at 1 a.m. and bust out of there by 5 a.m. It would be like we were never even there. The night/morning of the shoot, I was a nervous wreck. Was I doing the right thing? I believed with every fiber of my being that I could sell this apartment, but none unless I could actually show people how great it was with a unique video. I took a deep breath as we rode up in the service elevator. I can do this. I was going to make this work. Code number 13. Once a decision is made, never waver. All energy is directed toward ensuring its success. I love that. Here goes. My anxiety flew through the roof of Robert's perfect penthouse as the director started setting up the cameras and lights. I looked around for security cameras or a nanny cam, but I couldn't find one. But that didn't mean Robert hadn't hidden a Mission Impossible camera in the walls somewhere. There was equipment everywhere. Because I had acting experience, it was decided that I would play a role in the video. Would this video serve as a documentation of my last moments on Earth? Would this be all my parents had left of me? I pictured my mom watching the video in Colorado, crying into a tissue. Where did we go wrong? Every time I heard a noise, I was convinced it was the FBI sent in by Robert to break up our covert op. While the director was working hard to make a cool and artsy music video, I was whisper shouting out instructions like, "Did you get a shot of the bathroom? People need to see the tub." And make sure the shot includes the entire kitchen. We need to show all the appliances. This might have been a music video, but I had an apartment to sell, and I needed this to come out as the most creative real estate listing video ever made. After what I felt like the longest night ever, the band left, the camera equipment was taken out, and I spent the next few hours inspecting every square inch of Robert's apartment. I had to eliminate any evidence. I left at 7 a.m. and headed home to change and get ready for the day on no sleep. When Robert announced that there was one thing, and that turned into be a huge hindrance to my selling his apartment, I had 2 choices. Say no because of selling a $7 million apartment that no one can see is impossible, or move forward, tapping into some Jedi Master Yoda wisdom. Do or do not, there is no try. When I made that decision to make a music video, I chose to do. Trying wasn't enough in the situation. Trying would have been having a few photographs to show potential clients, and that's not even enough to close a deal. That's not doing. The scenario would have left me beaten down by anger and frustration because I would have let the seller's restrictions prevent me from doing my job. I would have spent weeks not selling his apartment, being mad at Robert, letting his entire situation suck. And for what? To ultimately admit defeat after wasting my time and everyone else's time? To cry about it to Amelia every night while eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch? That is not the path of big money energy. Instead, I chose to do. I had to make lemonade out of the lemon I had to work with. And it was a pretty shiny lemon, like a moldy one that had rolled under Robert's gold refrigerator months ago. The video did its job. Thank the sales gods. It showcased the apartment beautifully and caught the eye of both brokers and buyers. Most just thought it was crazy that I would actually do a full-on music video in a high-end penthouse. But the fact that they actually watched it and made those comments meant I had succeeded. I had captured everyone's attention, and that's my job as a sales and business person. Most importantly, I had captured the attention of a woman named Cora who saw the video on YouTube and really liked it. Cora's father, by the way, who she affectionately called Faha, was willing to spend many millions of dollars for a nice place for his princess. You know who else saw the video? Robert. Robert saw the video, and when he called me, it felt like I was going to get grounded. Ryan Serhant, an acquaintance, just sent me a very interesting music video. Is that my apartment? Because it sure looked like my apartment. Before I could answer and explain, it had done the job and we had a great offer. Robert shouted, "Ryan, I know it's my apartment because you are in the video. You're rolling around in my 4,000 thread count Egyptian cottons." When Robert finally stopped shouting, I told him about the offer. He went silent for a full minute. Then he spoke. "That's too low. Can you get them up?" Well, I knew Robert hadn't forgiven me about the music video that quickly. It was amazing what I was presenting. I was presenting him a 6.5 million in cash will do their mood type of offer. The bottom line was we had an offer to work with, and he'd been making a huge return on his investment. My Yoda-inspired doing had resulted in a potential sale in a record time, and we wanted to get this deal done. I did what I needed to do. Create a way for people to see into the apartment. I took a huge risk, and I was making a huge commission as a result. Knowing when to forge ahead with a risk and when to hold back is one of the key things that separates small earners from huge earners. I suspect the offer lessens the pain of the video, even if someone did flush the toilet, which was another of Robert's rules that I broke. After some back and forth with Chorus Fasha, a deal was reached for $7 million, exactly where I told Robert it would sell in the first place. Robert was happy with the deal, and I got to live. Hooray. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes Chapter 8, Part 1. I'll see you in the next video. This is getting really, really good. If you enjoyed that, freaking put a like, comment, share with someone, because that was really, really fun. So I'll see you in the next video where we talk about some risk assessment and, all the other opinions. Talk to you soon.